on election night, I heard you went completely silent. Was it a sort of realization of the enormity of this thing for you?
I think so. It's enormous. I've done a lot of big things. I've never done anything like this. It is so big. It is so, it's so enormous. It's so amazing.
Kind of just took your breath away. Couldn't talk.
A little bit. And I think I realized that this is a whole different life for me now.
Well, just a few days later, the New York Times reported that Donald Trump wants to split his time between New York and D.C. because he's still coming to grips with the fact that his life was going to change radically. They also report that his advisors were holding out the possibility that the president-elect may spend more time in the White House as he grows less overwhelmed and more comfortable in the job. More on what we saw in that interview and didn't see. We're joined by Lesley Stahl. Lesley, I just, it's a hell of a get, and I have to ask you about my favorite question to all reporters and anchors. What didn't you see on TV was when he came in with the family, the way he treated different members of the family, how he seemed to be. What would you tell us anything you know that we didn't see on the tube?
Not really. We put in almost every single thing that happened, really. We had 2 hours with him. We put an hour on, and really the things we left out were just repetitions. Yeah. He came across, both in the room and on television, as someone who wanted to convey a sense of calmness, a sense that he gets the enormity, the gravity of his new job, and that he's going to take it quite seriously. He said he blamed the press for the image that was conveyed during the campaign. He blamed the press for everything that went wrong, saying that he was portrayed as a wild man. Well, maybe that is what came through, and he wanted very much to say that he said it flat out. I'm a sober person, and I can take this job with complete, total seriousness. And, you know, I think in many ways he may have accomplished what he set out to. I was swamped with emails today from people saying, I was reassured. And then today, he goes out and he kind of steps on the message he was trying to send by naming Bannon. So, you know, it's kind of he hurt himself. First he helped himself, and then I don't know about today.
There's always two politicians. There's the one that we get to meet backstage and the one we see on television. That's certainly true with Secretary Clinton. I mean, anybody who knows Secretary Clinton can't believe the image of her as a stiff, because in person she's not a stiff. But Trump, would you say there's no difference between the guy we see on the tube and the guy you saw in the room with you all those 2 hours? Well,
you're in a room. He's not going to be on a stage screaming. But in what he said, not just how he presented himself, which I thought was, in fact, serious and somber almost, but even his words, there was no hyperbole, there was no boasting, there was very little combativeness, except toward the press, which was pretty much constant through the interview.
What's the beef? I mean, if anything, the people on the left have criticized us and many people for giving him so much airtime. I mean, the guy got more free time than anybody ever got because he puts on a show. It's shtick. And the shtick is what he got in trouble with. The playing to the audience, the wild attacks on Secretary Clinton, on everybody, is what that audience loved and what made him a show business favorite.
Well, I think when the mainstream press started to call him out for his untruths and really started naming them, he felt that it was unfair. He felt that the press was siding with Hillary Clinton, and it's gnawing at him. And, you know, he says flat out, he has said it many times, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you, but if you attack me in any way, I'm going to come at you like a tiger. He goes down to the White House. He'd been attacking President Obama viciously for years. And President Obama greets him, and he's gracious, and he's generous with his time. And now Donald Trump says the most kind things about him, and the same with Hillary. Hillary Clinton made a phone call and praised him for the kind of campaign he ran. And boom, nice things about Hillary. He feels the press came after him. He feels that in his heart, and he's still going to strike out. Yeah.
Well,
he also said, Chris, he also said that we're over, that the way to communicate is through social media. And he believes that. He believes that's why he won. He said that. That's why I won. And We'll see, though. We'll see. You've said a lot tonight already about how much he wants to appeal to the establishment, and the press is part of the establishment. So let's see what happens on that front.